Well, the college football playoff ranking show just turned off, and, well, it's exactly what we expected, unfortunately. We're going to unpack Tennessee's ranking, Tennessee's seeding, and what needs to happen again for the Volunteers to be a host site when it's all said and done. All that and more, it's a bonus show here on Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome into a little bonus content here on a Tuesday night. This is Locked On Vols, and I am your host, Cain. Appreciate you guys for being here, making Locked On Vols your first listen, your first watch each and every single day. We'll have a regular scheduled Wednesday program that's going to come up. I've set it to release at about 6:05 Eastern Time Wednesday morning to get you guys set for signing day. And we'll recap the day and everything that happened on a Thursday Locked On Vols. So, Tennessee ranked number 7, but seeded 9th in the updated college football playoff rankings that were released on Tuesday night. We talked about it heading into, really on Tuesday's Locked On Vols, how I thought that was going to be the case. There was some steam, there was some momentum a little bit, some different projections that, later as Tuesday went along that had Tennessee ahead of Ohio State, but nonetheless, this is kind of what we all expected. And why is this such a big deal? Well, this is a big deal because when you look at the first round of the playoffs, that 8-9 seed, 8 seed gets to host, 9 seeds on the road. And though Tennessee is ranked number 7, Tennessee is that 9 seed, and it's only because Ohio State is ranked before Tennessee. Ohio State is ranked number 6, they're seeded 8th. And, we talked about it all week long. It's, Ohio State lost by, or lost to a 20-point road dog in Michigan. I don't give a crap if it's a rivalry game. What a horrendous loss to Michigan, who literally didn't play quarterback. A Ohio State offense that had 10 points scored in the football game. Oh yeah, and it was at home, okay? So, and I get it. They had 2 top 10 wins, and that's not nothing, okay? I'm not going to sit here and say this is black and white. Tennessee should. Ohio State has a case to be ranked where it is, all right? I'm not trying to dispute that, but the committee is just absolutely wild. The committee is just it just makes no sense, right? This is the same committee. We'll get to the whole rankings here in a moment, but this is the same committee that dropped Georgia, just drilled Georgia a couple of weeks ago. This is from Trey Wallace, a tweet that I bookmarked, Outkick.com. He says, "Let me remind you that Georgia dropped 9 spots after losing on the road at Ole Miss." Ole Miss, a team that's right here on the outside looking in, right? Ohio State drops 4 spots after losing at home to Michigan. He says, "Consistency from the committee is non-existent. It was going to happen, but whew, I couldn't agree more." Stuart Mendel of The Athletic said, "Note, Miami dropped farther for losing on the road to an 8-3 team," that'd be Syracuse, "than Ohio State did for losing at home to 6-5 and scoring 10 points. Again, where's the consistency?" And I hate to be conspiracy dude, but I'm going to sit up here and say that I don't know every single member of that committee, but I do know it's led by Ward Manuel, who is the athletics director for Michigan. So there is a Big Ten perceived bias in this whole thing. And again, I'm not oblivious. Alabama, I don't know if Alabama necessarily is SEC bias or if it's brand bias. Alabama has no reason to be in these college football playoff rankings, yet Alabama is ranked number 11 and seeded 11th. It is absolutely ridiculous. Alabama should not be in these rankings. Alabama does not deserve to be in the college football playoff rankings. So everybody crying Big Ten bias, Alabama's in here. So it's easy for Big Ten folk and media and fans, or Big 12 or ACC, other college football fans outside the Southeastern Conference to scream SEC bias as well. I don't think it's SEC bias. I think it's brand bias. I think it's the A on the side of the helmet. I think it's Alabama. Unfortunately, it shouldn't be in there. So nonetheless, this is kind of what we expected. Again, Georgia went to 8 overtimes as well. Think about this. Georgia went to 8 overtimes, and I think Georgia Tech's a pretty solid ball club. I think it's coached well. I think they play hard. Of course, they got a couple of big wins on the year. But Georgia at home went to 8 overtimes to beat Georgia Tech, and it moved up 2 spots in the rankings. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what's going on? I know Miami lost. I know Ohio State lost, but goodness gracious, the committee makes absolutely no sense. I'll give you exactly what the rankings are here in a moment. I'm kind of doing it backwards here. I know. I apologize. I'll give you exactly what the rankings are here in a moment. I'll give you exactly a picture of what the bracket looks like. But I do want to read the justification. I said on the 45-minute call Tuesday nights, listening to Ward Manual, and I had about 7 questions, but your boy couldn't figure out how to ask a question on that teleconference. 2020 was 4 years ago when the world was introduced to Zoom. Why are we not still using Zoom for things like this where you can have a little icon to raise your hand? I don't know. Nonetheless, somebody, thankfully, well, what's up, David Pascal? Shout out David Pascal, great guy. Thank the Lord he asked about this because I couldn't figure out how to ask a question. And he asked, hey, what's going on with Ohio State? Essentially, why Ohio State over Tennessee? And the response that Ward Manual gave was just comical. Listen to this. Quote, they have very similar resumes. Ohio State is 2-1 against top 10 teams. They have a win over Indiana, and they have a win over Penn State. Of their 2 losses, one of their 2 losses is to number 1 team in the country, and obviously the loss to Michigan last week. We said they were going to cite, that was the talking points. The PR person had it right there. When asked about Ohio State, cite the 2 wins over top 10 teams. Cite it. Cite the close loss on the road to Oregon. Cite it. He did do that. But then he goes on, he says, in Tennessee, quote, and Tennessee also had an impressive resume. They've had 2 losses against Arkansas and number 5 Georgia. They are very close. Thank you for reading the schedule. Yes, everybody's aware that Tennessee lost Arkansas and Georgia. Okay, thank you. Quote, they are very close. It was a constant conversation as to how we saw both teams. A lot of deliberation on them. It was a lot of conversation, and the outcome of the vote had Ohio State ahead of Tennessee. Okay, well, what were you talking about? Like, what were some of those factors that went into your conversation? That's the whole point of the question being asked. Obviously, you talked about it. Obviously, as a committee, you took a vote. Obviously, you decided Ohio State over Tennessee. We, media members, fans, we want to know why. I hope he's getting paid a whole lot of money because he sucks at this job. He is awful at this job. And again, I'm sitting here. That's a tough job. I get it. I wouldn't want that job. Actually, let me find out what he's making and sign me up for that job. I'll BS my way through it as well. Wow, he's so bad at this job. I say it every single week. His fellow committee members are probably like, dude, shut up. Oh boy. So that was his reasoning when asked about Ohio State over Tennessee. I'm going to read another quote here in segment number 2 because I thought it was good. Mike Griffith, he asked about essentially what if Georgia loses in the SEC championship game? Could it fall behind Tennessee? And I'm going to get to that quote here in just a moment. We're going to hit a short break here. It's a bonus content show, so it's going to be a little bit shorter. Appreciate you guys. Stick around. I'll get to that full bracket. I will get to those seedings here in a moment as we continue on here on this bonus show, Locked On Vols. I want to tell you guys about my friends over at Gametime. Gametime is an app to where you can buy tickets to sporting events, and you can put in the promo code LockedOnCollege, and you can get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Put in that redeem code LockedOnCollege after you download the Gametime app. You're going to get $20 off, and it's not just sporting events. You can do comedy shows. You can do concerts. Whatever event is happening in your area, you can buy tickets to said event on the Gametime app. Plus, they have the lowest price guarantee where they're going to credit you 110% of the difference if you find cheaper tickets somewhere else. They have all-in prices, the most flexible customer service policy in the ticket industry. This is the way to go, guys. I promise you, whether it's sporting events, concerts, whatever event it is, check to see if you can buy the ticket on the Gametime app and put in that promo code LockedOnCollege, and you're going to get $20 off your first purchase. Download Gametime today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guarantee, and always want to give a shout out to FanDuel. FanDuel is a place where you can get ready. You can tackle the college football playoffs, the NFL action this weekend with America's #1 sportsbook. That is FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook also gives you everything you need to place live bets all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view the live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's at FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every single moment more with FanDuel. It's an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Hey guys, welcome back to a little bonus content late here on a Tuesday night. Locked On Vols. Tennessee comes in at number 7 in the Week 5 college football playoff rankings, seeded 9th. And again, that is important because seeds 5 through 8 host, seeds 9 through 12 travel in the first round of the college football playoff. So I talked a little bit about the reasoning, board manual or lack thereof. He gave why Ohio State over Tennessee and all that. Let's go ahead and just show you the actual rankings real quick. If you're watching on YouTube, I'll flash it up here on the screen. Oregon's at number 1, Texas number 2, Penn State number 3, Notre Dame at 4, Georgia at 5, Ohio State at 6, Tennessee at 7, SMU at number 8, Indiana at 9, Boise State at number 10. So funny. Alabama at number 11. Woo! And Miami at 12. I mean, there's a real battle here between South Carolina, Ole Miss, and Alabama and Miami there for that final spot. And of course, we got the brand bias of Alabama getting in there and getting in that last spot right there. So anyway, at least that's where it is on the final rankings ahead of the official unveiling of the playoff field come on Sunday. So that's the rankings. And remember, Notre Dame is an independent, so it cannot win a conference championship. So Notre Dame, though ranked 4th, cannot get a bye. The highest it can be is 5th. Remember, the 4 highest ranked conference champions get byes. So Oregon's 1, Texas 2. Penn State is also in the Big Ten, so Penn State cannot get a bye, or unless Penn State wins. Penn State and Oregon cannot get byes. So the loser of the Big Ten championship is going to fall out. So in this scenario, Penn State would fall out. And you'll see here when I flash up the rankings, if you're on YouTube, Penn State would be the 5th seed. So the automatic byes would be projected Big Ten champion, Oregon with the 1 seed, projected SEC champion, Texas with the 2 seed, projected ACC champion, SMU with the 3 seed, and projected Mountain West champion. It doesn't have to be power conferences. Remember, Boise State, since it's ranked higher than Arizona State, who is the projected Big 12 winner, Boise State gets the bye, and Boise State would be the 4th seed. And again, that's what's got to change in expansion the next go-around. It needs to be the top 4 teams. You do not need automatic byes. It's ridiculous because it is just embarrassing that Boise State, who comes in the rankings at number 10, gets a bye. It's embarrassing that in this simulation, SMU, that is ranked number 8, gets a bye. It's embarrassing that in this simulation, Arizona State, which is ranked number 15, gets into the field there at number, on the road in the first round at number 12. So Boise State, Oregon, SMU, Texas get the byes, okay? Arizona State, the projected Big 12 winner, will be on the road at Penn State. In this simulation, that winner would play Boise State. The 9-8 matchup would be Tennessee, Ohio State. That winner would get number 1 Oregon in the Rose Bowl. Alabama, the 11th seed, Notre Dame, the 6th seed, would get the winner SMU. What a easy path if this is actually what it was for Alabama. Notre Dame and SMU onto the semis, goodness gracious. And then Indiana would play Georgia, and the winner would get Texas in the Sugar Bowl. So that's kind of what that looks like. Again, I do believe that that the College Football Playoff Committee, though they will not come out and say it, I do believe that they do not want rematches in the first round. You can't avoid those. Eventually it's going to happen, right? But you don't want Texas, Georgia round 3 in the first round. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to avoid that. So I think if Penn State loses, for Tennessee, if you want to host a playoff game, the scenarios out there that you need to be rooting for is Georgia loses in the SEC championship game, or Penn State absolutely gets hammered. But what if Penn State loses to a respectable outcome? They'll slide down. Ohio State will jump them. And I think the most likely outcome right now is Tennessee at Penn State. Okay, that's just my opinion. But I'm going to end on this. Mike Griffith, Dog Nation, asked the question essentially. There's a lot of fluff in here, but if Georgia were to lose the SEC championship game, could Georgia fall behind Tennessee? And this is how Ward Manuel answered that question. Quote, I can't tell you exactly how the committee will look. It depends on the outcome of the game as we watch the game and the results of the game and the outcome of whether or not the teams will move above or below teams that are ranked in the top 25. It's, again, asking me a question. I can't tell you the answer because we've not, as a committee, seen the outcome of the game. Technically, you have. We've evaluated both teams. We've ranked Georgia higher than Tennessee. Georgia beat Tennessee. They are where they are based on the evaluation and analysis that the committee did. There are multiple things that we consider, multiple data points, strength of schedule. There's all kinds of data that we look into to elevate. We look at the tape, we look at the film, we look at the games live. We look at them in terms of the film. We re-look at some of them to make sure we know what the strengths and weaknesses are, the comparisons of the team that we have. So there are a lot of data points. I mentioned a few you just mentioned. But there's a depth to it in a way, a process that all 13 members can communicate unless they're refocused and a team, how they can see it. Hold on. Yep. How they can see it. And that's the beauty of the committee. It's not one person making the determination. It's not one stat, one data point that determines how we rank teams. We will see how the game goes. We will definitely rank them as we see the results of the game. Again, in high regard for those teams who have made the championships. We wish all of them, all 18 teams, well in the championships. We look forward to watching those games on Friday and Saturday. So I think at the very end there, that's something to pay attention to, okay? We will see how the game goes, and we will definitely rank them as we see results of the game. Again, with a high regard for those teams who have made the championships, okay? A high regard for those teams who have made the championships. He said a whole lot of nothing until the very end where he said with a high regard of those teams who made the championships. Does that mean that Georgia would fall behind Tennessee and allow Tennessee to go be a host? I don't know, but he did say that, and it certainly doesn't hurt Georgia in that circumstance. So, yeah, I mean, I've been pretty positive the entire time about Tennessee's chances of hosting. I mean, I'm still positive. I still think it's a possibility, but I would lean likely that Tennessee's going to be on the road, and that obviously is, what a lot of people thought that was going to happen anyway. But again, Tennessee's in the playoffs. That's the most important thing. It's never going to be perfect. I think with the BCS era, the computer-generated stuff, with the 4-team playoff, I don't think computers were the best route to go. With 12 to 14 to maybe even 16 teams coming up, get the human element out of the room, in my opinion. Get the human element out of the room. Let the computers decide, right? Because you make no sense. If the playoffs started today, Tennessee would be the 9 seed on the road at 8-seeded Ohio State. Would be a whole lot of fun, but I would rather play a game inside Neyland Stadium. We'll see if Georgia loses. We'll see if Penn State gets hammered, and we'll do it again late on a Sunday, or we'll do it again on a Sunday afternoon once we find out exactly where Tennessee will go. Appreciate you guys for joining me here. A little bonus content of Locked On Vols. Stay tuned for a complete Wednesday show. As always, thanks so much, you everydayers, for making this show what it is. We'll talk to you again coming up on a Wednesday. This is Locked On Vols.